News headlines brought to you by
BIP, D-Music, live sports, play go, go loud, and billow. All the digital experiences plus extra data.
Your
by
Get your Western Union transfer without leaving home.
Welcome back to Primetime News, and a special welcome once again if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. More evidence this evening of the blatant disregard for the measures in place to limit the spread of COVID-19 in Jamaica. With reports that events are taking place all across the country during curfew hours, last weekend TVJ News went undercover. We saw jam-packed bars, clubs and street parties with little or no physical distancing. Kelisha Williams has the story.
Kencourt St. Andrew, minutes after the 10 o'clock curfew on Saturday, December 19. But as you can see, a party is in full swing. Patrons in white in what appeared to be an all-white party. We estimated more than 200 people in attendance, but as far as we observed, there were no masks or physical distancing. We stuck around for about 20 minutes before leaving, and at about 11, we observed some patrons were just arriving, indicating that the party wouldn't end anytime soon despite the curfew. Fast forward a day after to Sunday, December 20. Our journey took us to the Ultimate Adults Playground, the popular Taboo nightclub on Constant Spring Road in St. Andrew. A different day, but a situation similar to the one we observed just the night before. We got into the club minutes after 9 o'clock. At first, there was only a handful of people inside, but as time went by, more patrons arrived. The ladies were not short of delivering to their customers, especially the males, who did not shy away from supporting their favorite dancers. Activities inside the club resembled events pre-COVID, ranging from lap dances, ladies dancing on poles, to half-dressed waitresses catering to the needs of their customers. We noticed temperature checks were mandatory before entry. But as for masks and physical distancing, that rule went through the door as soon as the patrons entered. Minutes after 10 o'clock, we had our next stop in Portmore, on Port Henderson Road, more popularly known as Back Road. The activities on the strip were subdued when we arrived, and the ladies of the night were few. At 11 o'clock, 1 hour past the curfew time, things started to get more lively. This bar was one of the few spots opened for drinks and entertainment. We observed a few police vehicles in the area, but none of the personnel intervened. Increase in coronavirus cases in many countries have been linked to parties and other social gatherings. In Jamaica, there is a ban on parties, with the municipal corporations not issuing permits for entertainment events over the past 5 months. The police have also asked for residents to report parties when they are in session as a means of getting information to crack down on the activity. Just last week, the police said over 130 illegal parties were reported. The bet is many more go unreported and are being held in defiance of the Disaster Risk Management Act, enacted to contain the spread of the coronavirus. At least 3 illegal parties resulted in mass casualties in the past few months. Kelisha Williams, TVJ News.
Meanwhile, vendors in downtown Kingston say it's not practical for them to obey the 10 p.m. curfew because it will cause them to lose money. So while the vendors close their businesses at nights, they linger around until daylight to ensure they make maximum profit. Here's Kirk Wright with that story.
Shoppers flock downtown Kingston for great prices, but that promotes the kind of congestion the government has been trying to avoid to help curb the spread of COVID-19. This is Orange Street, but Beckford Street is usually twice as congested with shoppers and vendors. The government has announced a 10 p.m. curfew for the month and a 7 p.m. curfew for Christmas Day. But for the vendors, that's woefully unrealistic if they're to make a profit. So the vendors don't leave the streets. Most close their shops by pulling a tarpaulin around their items and then sleep inside until daybreak. They say it's the only way to catch the early sales. Despite the curfew, a nail technician was still servicing one of her regular clients long past the 10 o'clock cutoff time. This vendor, Stephanie, once faced the courts for breaching the curfew, and here she is again after 10 p.m. playing cards with her friends outdoors.
I want to make a courthouse, you know. Through my outside, I buy something, them lock me up. So where me I go? We're hungry. Oh, for the can't stay in.
So it's after 10 now, you're not afraid them last work again?
Right now, anything. The judge said me to come back, I'm willing to come back. Yeah. Anything.
And with all the news about the more than 200 people who have succumbed to COVID locally, Stephanie and some of her colleagues still don't believe the disease is real.
What they are done every day, we bungle up. We cough on one another, we sneeze on one another, and none of us sick. So how we gonna believe it?
They are questioning the relevance of the curfew.
The curfew are foolish. Because people out here at daytime and you will leave at night time. So Karina no walk a day. At daytime, everybody bungle up. It's a mess in a town. And at night, we leave the road. Why? Why we leave at night? Karina no walk at night. And that we want to find out.
Now the vendors here in downtown Kingston are adamant that if the authorities don't allow them extra time on Christmas Eve, they definitely won't make a profit from their sales this Christmas.
We respect what the Prime Minister say, but this is Christmas. We respond to Christmas. Igla in a town responds to Christmas. We want more time more than that. We are back till 1 o'clock. That we want. How many have not more to say?
Kirk Wright, TVJ News.
Still to come this evening, Monday's UK passengers test positive for COVID-19. And in business news, gas prices increase for Christmas weekend. Please stay with us.
Your
Welcome back. We're continuing the news. Parish capitals are buzzing with activity as people prepare for Christmas. In Trelawney, as in other parishes, shoppers and pedestrians were out in numbers with little to no regard for COVID protocols. Well, the local authorities are worried. The popular Down Market in Falmouth, Trelawney on Wednesday.
We eat a good food there. We make with lunch money and we make with gas money and things, so business good, you see it.
It's just as crowded as previous Christmases, with no physical distancing and very few persons wearing masks. Mayor of Falmouth, Colin Gager, is not only concerned, but is on the verge of frustration. He says the municipality has made markings and left instructions for empty stalls between vendors.
But what happens when you leave out one of those stalls, you find that the person that is next door that should be social distancing and staying away, that person now occupies that space too. So those are some of the concerns we are facing. Our municipal police and the market staff, they have been working on it, but it is a hard thing to control.
With security being an annual challenge at this time, the Trelawney police had their hands full trying to keep the area safe from both crime and COVID.
We're pretty satisfied with what we're seeing as it relates to the security apparatus that is on the ground. However, we believe that we would have preferred to see more persons wearing masks and a little bit more in terms of social distancing. However, we are using the opportunity as best as we can to remind those that we don't see without masks to be wearing them.
A team from the Health Ministry visited the parish recently as the COVID-19 case count for the parish is trending upwards. As is the case with other parishes, illegal parties are a major worry. However, the Trelawney cops have a slightly different approach to dealing with the promoters. They have been watching social media for these events.
What we try to do then is once we identify persons, we try and reach out to them, to warn them, to indicate to them that these events will not be allowed to happen. And in general, they have the persons who have identified and reached out to, they have been cooperative. We try to reach out to them as early as possible because some of them probably is ignorant of what is happening, so that they won't lose too much money in terms of investing in purchasing goods and so on to have these kind of parties.
He says in general, they have been getting support from the public. In cases where there is blatant disregard, however, he says persons have been arrested and they will continue to prosecute these individuals.
And over in Manchester, the police are talking tough against those who continue to flout the Disaster Risk Management Act. They have also revealed that over 60 people have been charged for breaches under the Act. Prince Moore reports.
During this season, the Disaster Risk Management Act and the Noise Abatement Act will be strictly enforced.
Head of the Manchester Police Division, Superintendent Gary Francis, issuing a stern warning to residents in the parish. It appears that the calls from the government for persons to stop hosting entertainment events have fallen on deaf ears. At a recent municipal meeting, Medical Officer of Health for the parish, Dr. Nadine Williams, indicated that these events are contributing to the rise in COVID-19 cases. Superintendent Francis says his team has taken note and are taking action.
I want to appeal to the promoters of events, whether they classify the events as cookouts, house parties, day rave, these are all unpermitted or illegal activities that we will be strongly enforcing the law. There is a zero tolerance toward these events because these events attract the crowd and it goes to support the spread of the novel coronavirus.
Over the last 2 weeks, over 60 persons have been prosecuted for breaches under the Disaster Risk Management Act in Manchester. Several persons have also been charged for breaches of the Noise Abatement Act.
Mainly bar owners, promoters, DJs, and persons affiliated with these illegal activities.
But with the holidays fast approaching, there are questions about resources. Superintendent Francis says the support from the military will continue to assist in cracking down on the breaches.
In northern Manchester, 25 persons have been prosecuted. In the south, we have prosecuted 12, and in the central Manchester, 28. We will continue. We will continue with the support of our colleagues from the Jamaica Defence Force. We will continue to enforce these acts to ensure that our citizens are safe.
Prince Moore, TVJ News.
The Health Ministry is reporting that 20 of the 301 passengers who arrived in the island from the United Kingdom on Monday have tested positive for COVID-19. The Ministry of Health says those persons will be placed in state isolation along with 4 of their close contacts and monitored until they recover. In a release this evening, the ministry said the 20 positive samples will be sent to the Caribbean Public Health Agency, CARPHA, for a genetic assessment to determine if they are of the new variant strain of COVID-19 detected in the UK. The release said the results for 2 passengers are still pending, while 267 travelers who have tested negative for COVID-19 will today be transferred from state to home quarantine. They will be fitted with armbands and closely monitored by the health team and the police as they complete their mandatory 14-day quarantine at home.
In the meantime, COVID-19 has claimed 2 more lives in Jamaica, increasing the death toll to 290. Both deaths were previously under investigation. Meanwhile, the country's COVID-19 case count now stands at 12,423. 69 new cases were confirmed yesterday.
Now, with COVID-19 vaccine trials now being done in the region, a local public health specialist is urging the government to consider looking to Cuba for a COVID-19 vaccine. Shamala Pullen has the details.
With the high demand for the Pfizer, BioNTech and Moderna vaccines, there is no telling when Jamaica will get the drugs, which is why head of the School of Public Health at the University of Technology, UTech, Professor Winston Davidson wants Jamaica to look to Cuba.
Our Cuban neighbors have developed a vaccine against COVID-19, which has been approved, sanctioned, and given the green light by the World Health Organization. Now, if the Cubans decide to make this vaccine available to us, and I have no doubt that they would if we approach them.
This may be easier said than done, as the U.S. government has imposed sanctions on Cuba, which were recently tightened. So it means if Jamaica takes the drug from Cuba, then the country could be open to some sanctions as well.
And so I am appealing to the president-elect and his vice president-elect, who is of Jamaican heritage, that they should quickly reverse what the Trump administration has done, put back in place the Obama-Biden normalization relationship between the United States and Cuba.
Meanwhile, Professor Davidson says Jamaicans should not worry about the new strain of COVID-19 that is now causing panic worldwide.
In the first place, this is not the dominant strain of the virus in Jamaica. And we don't know whether, in fact, this strain of the virus coming to Jamaica will act in the same way that it acts in Europe, which is now in the winter. We don't. So there's no point in worry about something that you don't know anything about. That will not get you anywhere. But it is necessary for you to put in place the measures to prevent you from being exposed to any changes in the strain of the virus.
He, however, believes the government did the right thing by banning flights from UK. Shamela Pullen, TVJ News.
Still to come, in business news, Jamaica working on air services agreement with Nigeria. While on the international scene, U.S. COVID numbers approaching record high again.
Your family plus Flow.
30 people are homeless this Christmas following a massive fire in downtown Kingston today. Their 10-bedroom dwelling was engulfed in flames on Love Lane. A TVJ team was passing the location as the fire spread. Giovanni Dennis has the tale.
The image of hell portrayed in movies and Bible stories often looks something like this. And that's exactly what it felt like for these people frantically scampering to save anything from this blaze. This is Love Lane, downtown Kingston, in the vicinity of Charles and Church Streets. Moments before, residents saw smoke coming from this dwelling and started to evacuate. Within seconds, the building was engulfed. A little later, firefighters arrived. Police tried to control the crowd and divert traffic. This woman lived in one of the destroyed dwellings. So too this woman and her mother.
I'm see the fire. I'm see a regular thing him do that and light fire. And they're gonna toll the fire and what a mother think them. But now I'm not no mother alone. Mother alone. Just my mom to some man youth. Someone they know me have a man just by a thing them and just start a pillar business. And see everything gone down the jail now. Nothing I left never close me now. Everything gone.
Another resident who requested to be off camera told us her son and two nieces were severely affected.
Everything lost. Me I go and go help my drop and go and run and duck them off and duck me with water because I'm faint. And them said the man light over me had a bone copper and he leave it and he spread. 3 house, 3 family in 1 yard. Everything.
Deputy Superintendent of the Jamaica Fire Brigade, Emilia Ibanks, says several persons are now homeless.
Actually 30 persons who are homeless. The dwelling, it's a 10-bedroom dwelling house. The fire has been under control for about an hour now based on the reports I got. So maybe it's just cooling down operations that are still taking place, but the firefighters are still on location and the investigators are en route. We haven't gotten any reports of loss of life or injuries and no hospitalization, so that is the good news.
Loss is estimated at $10 million. Firefighters say it's not exactly clear how the fire started. Giovanni Dennis, TVJ News.
It's going to be a COVID-19 Christmas, so taking care of your mental health during the festive season is important. Shamala Pullen tells us more in this evening's Health Report.
The Health Report is brought to you by Unfortunately, the Christmas season doesn't always end up being festive for everyone, and perhaps even more so this year. With COVID-19, consultant psychiatrist Dr. Jeffrey Walcott is expecting to see more persons suffering from depression.
In normal cycles, persons will be going through strain and distress during this period anyway. So you have persons who are alone during this time, and in normal fashion, without the pandemic, family members would reach out and try to help them. In this particular time, that's not possible. And so you have to be mindful that persons who have been dealing with this disorder throughout the year are at risk now of having exacerbation or a compilation of factors that can actually make it much, much worse.
Recognizing the symptoms early is important. Dr. Walcott explains what to look for.
Feelings of sadness that are protracted. In other words, they last for long periods, greater than 2 weeks. You have the loss of enjoyment in life, pleasurable activities. And then you have the thought symptoms, hopelessness, feelings of helplessness, guilt, the foreboding sense that things will never get better, and then the suicidal thoughts.
In addition, some persons will have sleeping problems and experience a change in appetite. Dr. Walcott gave tips on how persons can cope.
Use the video connections, you use the meeting screens, connect with others virtually in the event that we're not able to do so directly. Continue with some of your rituals and traditions, even though you will not be having large amounts of guests over. Still do your decorations, still practice your particular Christmas rituals that you go through. And it's a way of reminding you of the season and helping you to regain some sense of normalcy.
Staying physically fit by exercising is also key. With your health report, I'm Shamela Pullen wishing you good health. The health report is brought to you by
It's feeling so good right now. Feeling so good right now. Yeah. It's feeling so good right now. Feeling so good right now. Yeah. It's feeling so good right now. Don't never ever wanna come.
Now, ahead of the responses to our feedback question, Dion Jackson Miller is here to give us a preview of what's coming up in all angles after primetime news. Dion, who are we talking to later on?
Well, we have a double header for you, Vasha, and of course, so much talk about COVID. We linked with a nurse and actress, Shauna Chin in LA. She allowed us to record her taking her COVID-19 vaccine, and then we spoke to her about that. And then coming into studio with us, we have Agent Sasko, and of course, he's riding high right now. His EP just out, so lots and lots of stuff, and we hope you're able to join us. That's coming up at 8:30, right after primetime news. Herman?
All right, thanks, Dion. 2 interviews there to look forward to. Now, before the break, our feedback question, we'll get some responses. A question we've been asking, how has COVID-19 affected your plans for this holiday season? Our first response from Josh Carl, who says, in a big way, this COVID pandemic has caused the price of goods to go up, thus limiting my budget and how much I spend. Angela Rosalie, I had no plans at all for the holiday season. Therefore, COVID-19 cannot affect what I did not have. Roger Moore, what holiday season? There's more bills and empty fridge than I ever see in all my years. God can just come now. Our question again, how has COVID-19 affected your plans for this holiday season? Keep your comments coming. Facebook.com/TelevisionJamaica, or you can tweet us at Television Jam. The Business Day, news from overseas. They are both after the break. Please stay with us.
Primetime News brought to you by
And it's now time for the business day. Petrol prices will jump to a 2-month high this Christmas Eve, with Petrojam tagging $1.46 to each litre of gasoline. The price of a litre of automotive diesel goes up 25 cents, while low sulfur diesel will cost a similar 25 cents more. Kerosene is up $1.33, while propane and butane jump by 25 cents. Currency trading ended today with the US dollar selling for $143.70. The Canadian dollar is going for $112.98. The pound is costing $193.14, while the euro sells for $176.98. Stocks ended mostly higher today as investors pushed the JC index up more than 1,702 points, while the junior market gained just under 2. The top performers were Salada Foods, Blue Power Group, Sterling Investments US dollar shares, ISP Finance, and SSL Venture Capital. Well, SSL Venture. Now, the worst performers were CAC 2000, iCreate, Epley, Everything Fresh, and Pulse Investments. And that's the Business Day. International stories when we return. Please stay with us.
The Business Day, brought to you by...
From your first child to grandchild, we've been helping to put a smile on your face. Sagicor, celebrating 50 strong years.
We go on to news overseas. In the United States, that country is reporting its 4th deadliest day since the coronavirus pandemic began. COVID-19 has killed more than 322,000 people in that country. In Texas, hospitalizations are approaching previous record highs and cases are up 55% from their July peak. Details from the CNN.
Houston's United Memorial Medical Center. Patient after patient on a ventilator. Their lungs devastated by COVID-19.
This is stuff that you have, it's from deep inside the lungs.
This you'll test?
This is COVID. This is COVID. This is what COVID looks inside the lungs. If you see it across the lights, you can see a lot of mucus and some cells.
The lungs swollen and red in this elderly patient. The sample will be sent to a lab to find out what else might be happening in their lungs.
The question is are they not healthy just because of COVID, or is there a secondary infection, which is common?
We visited the same hospital in late June. Then 2 wings of the hospital had been transformed into COVID-19 wards. Today, prepping for what's to come, there are 3.
The next 6 weeks are going to be the darkest weeks in modern American medical history.
Even though the vaccine's being rolled out?
Absolutely, because think about it. The vaccine is going to take you between 6 and 8 weeks to get immunity. Well, I mean, we're right during Christmas where people are not listening.
About 40% of patients at this Houston hospital are from other parts of the state, reeling from overwhelming illness.
Primetime News package continues with sports right after this break.
Coming up in Primetime Sports Wednesday, the ping pong continues. Local Table Tennis Association Resolution Committee hit by a major resignation. And Saddle Up, former champion jockey outshines title contenders at Caymanas Park.
Good evening. I am Jermaine Brown, and the details of these and more when we return.
Sports headlines.
While Richards' 85 came from only 77 balls with 10 fours and 2 sixes as the Master Blaster was at his destructive best.
That's a friendly full toss and he's got it away. That's going to be his 100, yes. Beautifully placed, a full toss. A joyous Richards, a delighted West Indian contingent here. And Viv Richards going through to 101.
Great Moments in Sports is brought to you by...
Just buy any 5 Lasco products. Scan the code or visit lascowish.com. Join Lasco Wish Chat, send a picture of your receipt and name to enter. Listen for a call to win a Christmas wish this year. It's time to win a Christmas wish again this year. With Lasco. Conditions apply. See the press for details.
Grace Kennedy Money Services, Western Union, 30 years of connecting the dots. Simply because we get you. The time by Grace Kennedy Money Services and Western Union is...
And welcome back. Chairman of the Jamaica Table Tennis Association Affiliates Resolution Committee, Anthony Davis, has resigned from his post with immediate effect. In a letter addressed to incumbent Godfrey Lothian and presidential challenger Andrew Liu and obtained by TVJ Sports, Davis did not give a reason for his resignation. Davis's resignation comes on the heels of a strongly worded letter sent on Tuesday by Lothian in which he accused the chairman of being biased towards Liu. The letter, which was also signed by 15 affiliates, questioned Davis's handling of the removal of the JDF Table Tennis Club from the affiliates list after Lothian raised questions as to how their affiliation fees were paid. The resignation of Davis is the latest in an ongoing saga which began in September 2019 when the Supreme Court ruled that the JTTA annual general meeting null and void. Davis was brought in by Lothian to help to resolve the issue of the affiliates list, which has been cut from 105 to 45. However, the list is yet to be signed by both Lou and Lothian. When contacted, Davis declined to comment on the matter. Meanwhile, TVJ Sports understands that there is once again a hold-up in the approval of the affiliates list for the Jamaica Table Tennis Association over a month after it was originally scheduled to be signed off on. The hold-up has left members of the Table Tennis Resolution Committee, including presidential challenger Andrew Lou, frustrated. Renata Brown reports.
Godfrey Lothian has moved to include the Umpires and Referees Association and the Kingston and St. Andrew Cricket Association, two affiliates who were already removed. Presidential challenger Andrew Lou confirmed the news to TVJ Sports on Tuesday.
We agreed that they were not bona fide affiliates of the JTT and were therefore left off of the final list, only for him to come back almost 2 months later now, because we had our last face-to-face meeting on the 30th of October, and now it's almost Christmas, and he's now trying to put back on two affiliates which we had already disqualified as being legitimate.
Lewis says the Umpires and Referees Association and the Kingston and St. Andrew Cricket Association, of which Lothian is the president, were never properly registered.
They never satisfied the constitutional requirements to be affiliates. Umpires and Referees Association is not a club or parish association as stated in the Constitution. The Kingston Cricket Association is not a club duly constituted either. They were not applied. They did not apply properly, and they were not approved by the council. So therefore, they cannot be affiliated.
But even with an impending special general meeting, there is still no guarantee that an end to the saga is near.
I have no idea who he will want to use to sign off, and signing off is not necessary as far as I'm concerned. We have qualified, we have done, as the DRF has ordered, we have qualified the list of affiliates that can move forward to vote in the next AGM, and we're just going to move forward and put the sport back on the correct footing.
In September 2019, the Supreme Court ruled the association's AGM and special general meeting null and void. Renata Brown for TVJ Sports.
Right then, we take a break and come back with some more. Stay tuned.
As we celebrate the season, JPS is honored to have served you throughout this year. Together, we've tackled the challenges side by side, as a nation, as a community, and as a family. So no matter what, we will always be there. As the network that powers every other network, we will continue working tirelessly to keep powering what matters. Happy holidays and a brighter new year. JPS, powering the holidays.
You know you can stay home and do all your banking. Use Scotia Online, the Scotia app, or Telescotia today. It's simple and easy.
The time by Scotiabank is
8 to 1.
And welcome back. Let's head to Caymanas Park, where six-time former champion Omar Walker stole the headlines from title-chasing jockeys Anthony Thomas and Dane Nelson, riding an impressive five-timer on Wednesday's 9-race card. Denise Waters reports.
Omar Walker helped trainer Anthony Nunes extend his lead in the hunt for a second trainer's title, landing the non-restricted overnight allowance contest, going over the 5-straight course with a fast-finishing Universal Boss.
As they make their way toward the final quarter, Capture My Ship, England's Rose, Prince Charles going at it. Wow needs to do more running as they make their way toward the furlong pole. Here is Universal Boss now unleashed and asked to close the gap as they approach the final furlong. It's Capture My Ship, England's Rose. Universal Boss now coming up on the outside to take them on. Capture My Ship, England's Rose, Universal Boss, Capture My Ship. Here is Universal Boss kicking in on the outside. Universal Boss beats Capture My Ship, England's Rose, Prince Charles and Princess Emmanuel.
Universal Boss returned an impressive 56 4/5 in 1 3/4 lengths.
I was worried that he may be a little tired at the end of the season here because we really pushed these horses this year in this championship. You know, I think he got a beautiful draw, he got a beautiful ride from Omar, and the two leading horses kind of went at each other, which helped us, and he got his momentum carried them past him.
Walker also teamed up with Ian Passard, handing the trainer a double in restricted company going 7.5 furlongs. Water piloted classic campaigner Double Crown to an impressive win to land the 8th race.
Turned for home. Omar Walker looking for his 4th win on the card as they approach the final 3/16th, and Double Crown is in full flight and under full power as they arrive at the furlong pole. Excessive force. The foreigner now trying to close the gap, but watch Double Crown. He's sprinting away from them. Inside the final 16th, Double Crown finds a new lease on life and comes away under Omar Walker. He has his 4-timer. Excessive Force is next ahead of High Diplomacy, One of a Kind. It's tight in behind between Awesome Treasure and Fearless Champion.
Double Crown won by 5.5 lengths in 1 minute 31 flat.
He had what we suspect is an illness, a bout of tick fever. You know, he's an in utero horse, so although he was born here, he doesn't have the parentage that basically makes him almost immune to that. But it was hard to diagnose because he didn't come down with a temperature or anything. But I think it affected his performance, and I think to make it worse, he doesn't seem to really relish the mud conditions as well. So everything combined, I think, just didn't work out for him in the classics.
I am Denise Walters reporting from Caymanas Park for TVJ Sports.
Now, cricket's world governing body, the ICC, has confirmed that the 2022 edition of the Under-19 World Cup will be a 16-team event in the Caribbean. After the 2020 edition in South Africa, there was some consideration by the ICC to shrink the tournament to a 12-team event after some woeful performances from the likes of newcomers Japan and Nigeria. However, they are sticking with the 16-team format, at least for another tournament. This will be the first time that the West Indies will be hosting an Under-19 Cricket World Cup. The Caribbean side won the 2016 edition of the tournament, their only success to date. And that's where we pull up stumps. We head to the recap and recapping the top stories making a primetime sports. So Wednesday, Chairman of the Jamaica Table Tennis Association Affiliates Resolution Committee, Anthony Davis, has resigned from his post with immediate effect. In a letter addressed to incumbent Godfrey Lothian and presidential challenger Andrew Liu and obtained by TVJ Sports, Davis did not give a reason for his resignation. And former champion jockey Omar Walker piloted 5 winners from 6 mounts on Wednesday's 9-race card at Caymanas Park to overshadow title-chasing colleagues Anthony Thomas and Dane Nelson. Nelson rode 1 winner to join Thomas at the top of the table on 84 points, where the wins each. And that's where we put a wrap on the Primetime Sports Wednesday. Stay tuned, though. Sports commentary with Oral Tracy comes up next.
If I can make one wish.
response of the Honorable Minister of Sports when asked about the topical issue of the resumption of local football. Listen to the minister.
I'm not going to say anything about football at this time. Today, it's track and field. And I want to focus on track and field. I will have something to say about football on another occasion.
Question. Between the Ministry of Sports and the Ministry of Health, it is obvious them not think football can play. And let us say for good reason. Instead of the sports minister ducking away from the issue and the health minister talking around the issue, why don't they just come up front and level with the people? Explain the reservations they have about resuming football. Remind us that the corona is no joke. Tell us that the government don't trust the football people to set up and adhere to the stipulated protocols. Tell us the government can't afford the testing. Come straight and say the government fears further outbreaks of COVID-19. Tell me something. Tell us the truth. Wait a second. Politicians don't tell the truth.
If I can make one wish come true.
Grammy winner Buju Banton. Now, Coffee has once again made her way to Obama's playlist. Former U.S. President Barack Obama last weekend revealed his 2020 Spotify playlist, in which Coffee shows up through her collab with J Hus on the track Repeat. Coffee joins A-listers Megan Thee Stallion and Beyonce on the remix to Savage, Her with Damage, Wizkid featuring Thames on Essence, and Franchise by Travis Scott featuring Young Thug and MIA. In his post on social media, Barack Obama thanked his daughter Sasha for helping to compile the list. Go Coffee. That's it for E-Prime this evening. I am Daedran. Thank you for watching.
E-Prime, brought to you by...
Scratch it and unwrap extra data or credit. Dial *129 *6 sign to activate and keep checking your
across the Caribbean basin. Patches of low cloud, the trough still east of the island. Areas of clouds and isolated showers are south of Hispaniola, but towards the north, we have that cool frontal boundary. Showers and thunderstorms extending out towards the open waters of the Atlantic. Now, in the forecast for tonight, we're expecting fair skies with low temperatures dropping to about 23 degrees Celsius. It's partly cloudy again in the morning tomorrow and also in the afternoon, with high temperatures reaching about 31 Celsius. Similar conditions to yesterday, with partly cloudy skies covering most of the south as well as south central and southwestern parishes. It's partly cloudy also for the northeast. Elsewhere across the north, we're looking for a mixture of partly cloudy and mostly sunny conditions. Now, on Christmas Day, expect some afternoon showers. These are expected to continue through to Boxing Day. Also on Sunday in the afternoon. We'll have to wrap things up with the weather report and forecast, but stay tuned. The team is standing by to recap the top stories.
You know, this inflation thing is a really big deal.